Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 67. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. I'm your host, Ryan Cross, on the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. On this show, we strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. Today, I have with me, joining once again, TJ. How's it going, buddy?
Hey Ryan, pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I apologize in advance if I sound a little phlegmy or I break into a cough mid broadcast because I did come back with the post shot show syndrome. Maybe it's my body just adjusting to not seeing so much awesome stuff crammed into one day, and so I'm having kind of a physical sickness, or maybe it's just shaking hands with everybody and their brother at Vegas. But I did come home with something. I made the fatal mistake of when the show's over on, let's say I didn't go, let's see, Thursday was my last day, so Friday I didn't go to the show. So I stopped using Purell because I was like, oh, show's over, and I just, kind of got complacent. So I went from Friday, taking the shuttle to the airport, not washing my hand or washing my hands when I use the bathroom, but not like religiously using Purell every time I touch a surface. And so I must have picked something up at the airport or when I got back to Washington, and the weather was rainy, so maybe the shift. And anyway, it was pretty hard on me yesterday. But I'm feeling better today. I'm here to let y'all know that SHOT Show was awesome, and there's lots of great new products out there that you're going to be very happy to hear. So luckily, for the next year of podcasting for you listeners, it's going to be chock full of awesome products that I got to see this SHOT Show. So right off the bat, we're going to talk about something that we saw. This was the first product that we saw getting off the bus for Media Day at the range on Monday during SHOT Show. And this is the UTM Civilian Training Ammunition Kit. Actually, I'm sorry, before I get into all that, I skipped over the announcements. So guests are always welcome on the show. If you'd like to join us on the podcast, just shoot me an email, cross@firearmsradio.tv, and I'd be more than happy to get you on the show to share some of your thoughts on new products as we talk about them, or if you have a product that you would like to review yourself. Either way, we'd love to have you on the show. Also, I'm announcing that we're going to do a Facebook giveaway. So the Firearms Insider page has, I think, maybe about 430 likes. I'm going to give away a SHOT Show swag package to a lucky Facebook fan of the Firearms Insider Facebook page as soon as we hit our Facebook likes of 500. So as soon as we hit 500 likes, I'm going to give one of our very lucky... Actually, you know what? I've got enough for two. Two of our lucky Facebook fans are going to get SHOT Show swag packages. So as soon as we hit 500, I will pick two random Facebook fans and let them know that they won. And if they don't claim it within maybe about a day, or two, we'll or if they don't claim it within a week, on the next broadcast, I'll pick another one or two, depending on how fast they get back to me. So now we'll get into the product spotlight. So the UTM Civilian Training Ammunition Kit is an awesome product made by UTM worldwide. So what they have developed was training ammunition that functions much like an actual cartridge. So it's kind of like taking airsoft to the next level of realistic function as far as your firearm, and using your own firearm instead of going down to the sporting goods store and buying a cheap knockoff replica of your duty pistol or your duty rifle. So what this system does is it replaces either your bolt carrier in your AR-15, or they make a slide for your carry, and then that will reliably feed their specific proprietary UTM ammunition. So at the range day, they had the AR-15 with the bolt inside. They also had, I believe, a Glock pistol or a SIG pistol with their slide. So everything's completely safe. In fact, It's actually a rimfire. The bolts and the slides are both rimfire. So if you were to slip in a live casing, like a 223 into the AR-15, it would actually, the striker or the firing pin would hit on the edge of the case head and not the primer itself. So you wouldn't run the risk of actually accidentally, negligently shooting somebody during like a force-on-force, non-lethal training exercise, or putting a hole through your backyard fence if you didn't want to.
Yeah, these are.
So the ammunition. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it. Pretty cool. I like that added safety feature of it being like a rimfire style. Obviously, it's still got the rim and dimensions of a 223, but it has that. I guess the primer, or however it is propelled, is in the rim. What actually propels it? Is it like gunpowder, or is it some kind of compressed CO2 or something?
That's exactly what I was going to get into. Good question. So it's propelled by a dual primer system. So they actually, at the show, they had enlarged cartridges that almost look like tank rounds, but it's on a large scale showing just how the dual primer system works. So there's the initial primer, which is the stronger of the two. That's where the standard typical primer is oriented. So once that the firing pin strikes that, it's kind of like a little blank, and then it propels a small BB forward in the case, and then that strikes a pistol primer that's kind of mid-case, and that pistol primer is less powerful, and so it kind of gives controlled burst, which then sends the projectile out of the case, at a controlled speed of about 300 feet per second. So then with this dual primer system, it actually jettisons the case. It cycles the bolt and jettisons the case just right out the ejection port. So you can actually train like you would actually have live rounds in there, except they're not live rounds. And you're using ammunition so you can see where your hits on target, instead of using like blanks and a blank adapter in your AR-15 or M16. So you're getting a lot more feedback for exercise. You can see hits on target. The kit even comes with a target that's kind of got like it's kind of built like an airsoft target, where it has a trap where the BBs go through the target, hit the backing, and then fall down into a little collection tray where you can just dump that out in the garbage. And then it even comes with like a little canvas grommeted holder that collection target sits in, so you can then hang it on whenever you like to. So it is indoor safe. It is hearing safe. You could practice, do drills in your backyard. You can make your own little shoot house in your backyard with plywood, or even just with any kind of fabric that you have that something traveling 300 feet per second isn't going to go through. And you can have yourself a good old time in your own personal favorite rifle. So if you've got a duty rifle, anything that's in 223, you should be able to drop this bolt in and run it. Uses existing magazines, so all your favorite PMags, Lancer mags, Hex mags, whatever, USGI mags. These rounds will fit in those. I believe it's about. I thought I saw that you can buy either 50 or 100 of these rifle cartridges for about $30 from their website. The kit itself, which comes with some cleaning materials, the bolts, a magazine, 2 boxes of the ammunition, and some more cleaning stuff, and the targets, is $300. So that's a great way to get right into it, because then your only cost after that is just, buy more ammo. The cases are not brass. They're actually made out of aluminum, so after you've ejected and shot all these rounds and you've got a pile of aluminum cases lying on your grass, you just sweep them up, put them in a bucket, and then head on over to the scrap yard and get your scrap recovery money, and then you can go out and buy more ammo for this. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see how this, see this stuff work. I know they've been using similar products for a long time in law enforcement and military, but we just, I guess it was usually restricted to those two venues, and I guess UTM's just opening it up to the civilian market. Looks like. So you got to shoot some of
Yeah,
these.
that's exactly right. Yeah,
You got
yeah,
to.
me and or myself and Hank Hockey got to shoot these. Yes.
Okay, cool. Which one of you got shot?
Well, we didn't shoot each other. I'm sure by the end of the week, one of us wanted to shoot each other. But no, they had like a little shoot house built. They actually also sell the kits, so they have these big, large panels. I think it's like a 16 by 16 shoot house that you can customize yourself. You get the bars and the material and all that to put it together, and it's like I think 10 grand for a 16 by 16, and then you of course add on to that. But they had their little shoot house already kind of built up with targets on the inside, so you can run through it.
So is that a
Then we
product by
did shoot at a
UTM also?
target. I believe so. Yeah. I'm not gonna talk about that because the price is so out there that it's almost exclusive because
Yeah, right. Well, how was
I
the?
I can't just go ahead.
I was gonna say, how was the recoil and all that compared to like a real rifle?
Very much like 22 long rifle, very negligible.
Okay.
And definitely hearing safe as well. The decibels were kind of more like 113 around there. So don't need
Yeah, I think I did.
earplugs, and yeah, you don't really need to worry about recoil for younger shooters, or it doesn't give you like this is the real recoil of a 223 or your
All right.
40 obviously your sight on or 9mm, but it's enough to cycle around and to allow you to now I need to get my sights back on target.
Yep.
So they don't make it too easy for you, if that's what you're asking.
Right. So it cycled the action pretty well.
Yeah, no, it did great. So they, as far as your pistols go, they've got kits for almost every major, at least self-defense or popular pistol that I've seen. And it's a different slide for a Gen 4 versus a Gen 3 if you're talking Glocks. So if you've got a particular firearm that you'd like to have the slide for, and some firearms don't even need a slide. Some of them are just to swap out the barrel. So I don't know how that's done with center fire versus making sure that you still retain that safety of striking on the rim. Maybe the barrel places the primer out of the way of the stock firing pin on your existing slide, but they've taken all that into account. So you just got to tell them exactly what firearm you're interested in, and then they have either a barrel or just a whole slide for you.
I think I've seen these before in the pistol rounds, and they're almost like a bottleneck cartridge, kind of like a 357 Sig might look, and which stops it from chambering into a full-size chamber, I guess you could say, or it stops a actual live round from being chambered into their particular conversion barrel. I think that might be how they get around that. Just the different shape of the bullet stops you from having that catastrophe.
Yep. So they're really big on that it's non-fouling, so it's not going to foul up your weapon because there's essentially no gunpowder being used, just the primers. So it's non-toxic, projectile, lead-free, environmental friendly. That's a big thing that they wanted to make sure was stressed, is that this system you can use in your backyard safely, not have to worry about pets getting a hold of something, getting poisoned, or your kids coming across some materials that are unsafe to handle. And then they also we did ask about, well, what if you were law enforcement and you had something that was select fire full auto? They have specific bolts rated for that. When you buy the civilian bolt carrier for the AR-15, it's specifically designed not to go full auto. So that way you couldn't buy it and then convert it to shoot standard ammunition and then give yourself a full auto bolt carrier group.
Yeah, I'm sure they would
so anyway,
definitely get trouble with that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very quick. I mean, it's less than 60 seconds to swap it out, and you're in your AR-15. Um,
Uh, it's
so
just switching the bolt, right?
go ahead.
It's just
Yeah,
switching the
switching
bolt,
the
right?
bolt. Yep, that's it.
What about the recoil spring? Do you have to do anything to that to get it to cycle properly?
No, I don't think he didn't do anything like that. He just swapped out the bolt carrier.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
So, yeah. So, yeah, the rear primer is a 22 blank, basically, and the front primer is a box primer. Um, so the average muzzle velocity is about 375 feet per second, and the accuracy they've measured is about less than an inch and a quarter at 30 yards. So it's not like 100-yard accuracy. This is really meant for CQB type training, so you got to keep that in mind too. Obviously, the projectile's kind of more of the round ball shape, and so it's not going to be drilling minute of angle holes at 100 yards. It's the wind is and the air is going to start to play with it, and it's going to start to kind of like you're hitting a golf ball. It's going to start to slice in certain directions after a certain speed. Or a
Yeah, just
certain
so
distance, I should say.
the weight on it is only 0.45 grains, so you got to think it's 10 times lighter than, or would that even be 100 times lighter? Yeah, than the lightest 223 one of the lightest 223s you can get.
Yep. So I mean, as far as the only things that they make sure is that you shoot it through a clean and dry bore and barrel. So do not lubricate the barrel at all. And of course, use safety glasses and goggles. If you're going to do force-on-force training, I mean, they very much encourage putting a full-on suit like you're going to an airsoft match, because 375 is still going to, can damage your corneas or hurt sensitive areas. So this isn't something that you just throw on a paintball mask and go out into the backyard and shoot your brother-in-law with. You're going to want to definitely use this responsibly. So if you're interested in that, go on over to utmworldwide.com. It's an awesome system. I'm hoping to get some T&E from them. I'd love to do a thorough review and kind of demo this for you guys a little bit on our YouTube channel as well. So the MSRP on the kit, I don't think did I mention that?
I think you did, but wouldn't hurt to cover it.
300 yeah, 350 for the kit for your AR-15, and then I have to be price pending on something you had and what that required. So next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite optics companies, Vortex. Seems like one of their products that they brought to 2015 is really meant for those that are interested in getting into kind of three-gun style shooting, but on a budget. So good for them for doing that. And so this is their Strike Eagle rifle scope. It's 1:6 by 24 millimeters. It MSRP is for only $429, which is like even lower than their Vortex Viper PST 1:4s. So this is like really good bang for your buck quality. So it's a 1x variable optic that can go up to 6. So that should be absolute 1x, or what do you call that when it's a true 1x magnification?
Yeah, I think that's just what I've heard. True 1x. So.
Yeah. The reticle on it is AR-BDC, and I'll tell you about the reticle a little later on. Its field of view at 100 yards looks to be 116.5 inches. Eye relief is 3.5. It's got capped turrets. The diameter of the tube is 30 mils, and it's 10.5 inches long, which is a little longer than most people like their low power competition optics to be. But for the price, and you're not going to want to put a whole lot of extra doodads on your rail for shooting competitions anyway. So it's an inch or two a little bit longer than the other models that are out there, and it weighs 17.6 ounces. So what do you think about it?
I think it looks pretty cool, and like you said, it's cheaper or less expensive than their what was the other, the Viper series. So that's really good. I guess they kind of wanted to fill a little better niche of inexpensive starter one power optic or one power variable optics, I guess. And 1 to 6 is awesome. Not too many people are making 1 to 6s. Usually you get a 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and especially not at this price point. So that's really nice to see. One thing I did immediately notice, it looks like on their zoom adjustment knob, it has like a small fin, not like a big throw lever or anything, but it does have a small fin on there to give you some kind of tactile reference to grab onto. So that's pretty neat feature right off the bat.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely good to have on there. So then it also has a spare battery compartment and a specially designed that BDC reticle specifically for tactical applications. So it's a custom illuminated second focal plane reticle that consists of 3 segmented horseshoes that encompasses a center stadia column. So it has a reverse tree shape because of the numbers of the small horizontal marks on it are calibrated for long range finding. So each of those mark brackets an 18-inch shoulder width target from the range from 1 to 600 yards. So of course the target from shoulder to shoulder at 100 yards is going to be wider through your scope than all the way to 6. So it's got an inverse tree coming down. So that helps you if you're engaging steel targets in a match and they're like IDPA torsos or things like that. It kind of helps you to align the point of impact, assuming that there's no wind, right in between those hash marks on that tree.
So the width of the line is supposed to be like you said, shoulder width, or roughly. Yeah. Okay, yep. That's pretty convenient.
Yep.
So you can kind of judge how far away the target is and just move to that particular hash mark. It looks like I'm looking at the manual for the reticle itself, and it says the hash marks. The first one, the large one, is 300 yards, and then it goes to 4, 5, and 6 for the following ones. So that's well, I'm sorry, the one right in the middle is for 20 to 200 yards, and then after that it goes up to 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's pretty awesome to have that right there, and that horseshoe, I guess as they call it, around it. That's an awesome, I guess, close in. You know, you have that big halo, kind of like an EOTech or something along those lines for a quick acquisition.
Yeah, I mean that's something that you can see in kind of some ACOG models too. They have that horseshoe style reticle.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Especially you can help to guess yardages. You know, if you know it's an 18-inch across target at whatever yardage, you can kind of use your reticles to go, okay, that's 400 yards or that's 500 yards or, yep, that's definitely 600 yards. So I like it. I like it a lot. I think that the market for 1 to 4 times scopes was getting a little tight with, you know, smaller companies, you know, and bigger companies that haven't really tapped into the tactical market yet, kind of more of a niche. So like Bushnell and some other companies are starting to get these low magnification power to get into that competitive shooting market or that CQB carbine owner market. So it's nice that Vortex, they had a 1 to 6, but you know, it was part of their Viper line, and it was way high up there in price, you know, over $1,000. So it's nice that they came up with something that fits that, but for more of us budgeted-minded shooters, you know. And it still has the Vortex quality, of course, and if you know, run over it, break it, as long as they can recognize it, they'll probably replace it for you. So lifetime, unlimited, unconditional VIP warranty.
That's pretty awesome.
If
I think
you are interested in that, going over. Yeah, I'd love to see it in the store also. So if you're interested in taking a look yourself, go to vortexoptics.com and then look under rifle scopes and then go to the Strike Eagle. So next up, what everyone's kind of been waiting for here from news, what the heck happened to what happened at the Glock booth, at both range day and at the actual exhibition days. Well, sorry to report, there is no single stack 9mm to speak of that they released to the public and let us know about. However, there was some chatter and some leaked information before SHOT Show that the Glock 2015 kind of products to debut were what they call a Glock MOS, and MOS stands for modular optic system. So basically, what they did is they re-released 4 of their pistols that had slides that were popular optic systems. So the 4 pistols, you've got the Gen 40, the Gen 4 G40, which is a 10mm auto. So
which is also new.
There wasn't a G40 before, so that's a new model number, correct?
Yeah, that is a new model for this year. It was basically the same as the 41, I believe it was, that came out last year, the long slide 45, and now they just made the same thing out into the 10mm.
So now you can go into a gun store and confuse the heck out of them when you say, I want a Glock 40, and if they hand you
Yep.
like a Glock 27, you can be like, oh, no, I want the Glock 40 that's 10mm, and they'd be like, what the heck are you smoking? But no, the Glock 40 is 10mm.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go
people.
I thought they were going to go full confusion and just make their first 22 model as the Glock 40. So that way, if you say you want a Glock 40 or a Glock 22, they'll just be completely head spinning around, no clue what's going on.
Yeah. And so they're going to do like a G9, and it's going to be like a 45 gap, just to really throw a monkey wrench into things.
Yeah.
So you got the G40, then you got the G41, that's a 45 auto, and then you got the Glock 34, which is 9mm, and then you've got the Glock 35, which is 40. So all those are Gen 4s. They've got the Gen 4 pattern on the grip. They've got the finger grooves. The sights are standard, so it's kind of weird that somebody would release a pistol that was designed, at least for the slide, for optics, and yet the sights are the same, so they're not taller to compensate to covidness. They're kind of leaving that all up to you. So the 5-cent sights that they've always thrown on their pistols, you still get them, and you still have to swap them out for taller sights if that's what you wish for. So that's kind of a little bit of a grumble. I wish that they would have at least aimed up to do that.
Yeah, this is something similar to what Smith & Wesson and FN did with theirs. They had kind of a universal slide cut, but they were nice enough to add the taller sights on both of those models. I believe you'd think Glock would have caught on to that and followed the trend. Because that was the first thing I said when I saw it. I said, well, that rear sight, or both the sights are useless. The rear sight is completely covered up by the one they have in their demo pictures. For one, it just looks goofy.
Yeah, I know.
Useful.
Yeah. So there's kind of several plates that come with it. So it has a cover plate that obviously is not made for any sights. That's if you got this and you're not running sights at the time, you can just use a standard cover plate and it would just kind of look more flush. And then there's one plate that's meant Doctor Insight and Meow, and there's another plate meant for the Trijicon RMR, and then there's another plate meant for the Seymour, and then there's a 5th plate that's meant for the Loophole Delta Point. So they have a nice little website. If you go to us.glock.com/MOS, it's kind of an interactive site where you scroll down. It kind of shows you the difference between using reflex sights and standard iron sights. And you can even see in their little model here that the rear sight is completely the front sight is completely obscured when you're looking point of view through the rear of the pistol, and so you don't get that co-witness right off the factory. The MOA of the dot is looks like it's completely up to you. So they kind of have a little model where they show what a 3 MOA dot looks at when you're looking at something that's roughly about 100 yards, and then you can kind of scale it up to bring the target closer and farther away. And then they have like a 7mm dot where it kind of gets bigger. So it kind of helps visualize, what's the difference between dot size and how much of the target does that obscure. When you're, I guess, selecting your red reflex optics, like if you're completely new to that and you have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool little.
I don't know, man. I think that. Yeah, I mean, they went through the trouble of doing that, paying a graphic guy and to do all those kind of infographics. But I mean, all in all, there was third parties doing this to Glock slides for years now. I mean, Lone Wolf's been pumping out Glocks with reflex sight mounts, slide cut for years. So this is not really a breathtaking release from them. Especially optic not included. So I imagine that some private dealers might be slapping on optics and doing like a package deal, perhaps. I don't know if this really competes with the Smith & Wesson core pistols, because I see the core pistols as being more, I guess, thought out, with the taller sights. Maybe that's just me. Maybe this is going to help another generation of, competitive handgun shooters pick up a Glock platform that they don't have to go do a bunch of modifications to. You can just buy it like it is, put on your favorite reflex sight, or choose one, and then just start shooting. So the MSRPs on those is $699. In case you were interested. Yeah, it looks like it's for either one of the four.
I thought there was price differences between like the 34 and the 41, but maybe there isn't. I was trying to look it up just for comparison, but Lipsy's website's being goofy right now.
Don't quote me on that, but based on the source I was looking at, and from what I've gathered from their press kit that I got, I didn't see a price difference between the two. I just saw that flat price for all of them, but that might be different per model.
I'd be willing to bet they're pretty close together, though, because if I remember right, actually I think the 41 was cheaper than the 34 and 35 for some strange reason, so I'm not sure. They're probably right around the same price, I would imagine.
Yeah. Then I did also see, when I grabbed their press kit, that there was some forms for T&E and some agreements as far as you can fill these out, send them to them, and say, hey, if you send me a T&E pistol, I promise to send it back. So I might try and fill one of those out and see if I can actually get one in my hands to tell you guys more, and then give me an excuse to go out and buy an RMR or something to slap on there. I didn't see any mention of the burst. Was it the fast fire or the?
Yeah, I didn't see
burst
that on there. Yeah,
reflex. That's pretty popular.
That is bursts, yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure which plate is meant for that.
They don't make a plate for an NC Star, do they?
No. I'm guessing maybe the number 01 plate that's configured for 4 different manufacturers, at least that are listed here. That's maybe more of a general all-purpose mounting configuration, so you might be able to. That might work for other retailers that didn't pay Glock to put on their website as far as name them by name.
Yeah, it looks like the differences between the plates are hole locations and then little post locations. So I guess it just depends on what that particular manufacturer used as a mounting solution, I guess you could say. So depending on the location of the holes and posts. So you just have
and
to.
If you had the ability to take it and have something milled out for whatever reflex sight you were running, I'm sure you could find the pattern and have something made for yourself too if they didn't offer it. If you insisted on using that premium NC Star reflex sight
I
on
don't even know
your
if they make one in that.
$700.
Not sure if they even make one in that form factor, but I was just joking, obviously. Now, one thing I'm not sure about the Smith & Wesson, I'm not sure if they come with all the plates from the factory. It looks like these Glock models are coming with all 4 plates right straight from the factory, so you don't have to worry about ordering a new plate just to, fit your specific one. So that's pretty good that they just include all of them. I'm fairly certain I saw
Yep.
that.
Yep. And then if in case you're asking yourself and you're going to ask, can I just buy the slide and slap it onto the 41 I already have? The answer is 9. Glock has said that you will have to purchase the entire MOS handgun, but hopefully as the line expands and the popularity grows, they'll be able to release just the slides standalone in the future.
Well, I think Glock serial numbers are a very single part of their guns, so they don't want that mix-up of the slide and the frame serial numbers.
Yeah,
I'm
I
fairly
understand
certain.
that.
Plus, they want you to spend $700 and not $300, depending.
Yep. So next up, we actually also have something that's slightly Glock related, but this is from Magpul, and I don't know if I told you guys that Magpul was going to start making their own magazines for Glock pistols. So this is something that kind of snuck by me in the frantic joy that was reading all of Magpul's new products that were coming out this year. I seem to have glanced over this one. So Magpul's going to be making a PMag. It's called a PMag 17 GL9, and it's a 17-round magazine that's meant to fit, you guessed it, the Glock 17. Also your 19, your 26, whatever takes the Glock 17 magazines, your AR-15 rifle and or pistol in 9mm that accepts Glock magazines, even your Kel-Tec Sub 2000 should be able to take this magazine. The beauty is the MSRP is only $15.95. So if you're tired of paying $30+ from magazines from Glock factory, you won't have to worry about that anymore because Magpul's got your back. They are not reinforced with steel like the factory magazines are, and I imagine that's a lot of where that cost savings comes from, is not having to go through the manufacturing process and get a steel magazine and wrap it in polymer. Instead, you're just molding up a magazine. But if I'm going to trust a polymer magazine manufacturer, it's going to be Magpul for sure.
Yeah, I've actually heard a few people complaining about that.
Have you taken a look at this?
Yeah, I was actually heard a couple people talking about that lack of steel reinforcement, but I mean nobody's ever complained about the lack of steel reinforcement in the PMags, for the AR-15. So I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. I'm sure Magpul's got their testing down pat on that stuff. They probably sent thousands of rounds through a single magazine just preparing to release this thing, or else they wouldn't have sent it out there, because Magpul seems pretty good about they put something out there and then it's pretty close to market. It's not like you mentioned a second ago, Kel-Tec, where they mentioned something and it's 2 or 3 years out.
Yeah, and if you're one of those guys that's so worried about that actually you have on your calendar marked every month to go through and swap out your magazines, unload all your magazines and load them into Group B, and then give Group A, a month to rest the springs or whatever. If you're one of those OCD kind of guys, then I mean it's $16. Just buy more magazines if you're worried about them not lasting a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, that's really nice.
Use them. Yeah,
because that's definitely a great price point, and obviously with the long nomenclature for this thing, it's definitely leads room for a 15 GL9 and then a 15 GL whatever 40 for the different 40, 45 sizes. They definitely have plenty of room to expand. I guess they're just coming out with the 17 just for market practice, I guess. just to test the waters, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure the
Yeah, exactly.
19, I'm sure the 19, 26, all those will probably follow pretty soon after. Hopefully, 30 plus or maybe even more will follow, and then we see that new drum mag for the AR. So maybe we'll get a new Glock 50 round drum mag from Magpul. That would be pretty sweet, or maybe a 60 round.
Yeah. So it's their durable polymer construction. Obviously, it does have a matrix for using a paint pen for labeling. So just like their new M3 magazines, you'll be able to use the dot matrix to label your magazines and cycle them out if you want to. The floor plate is toolless, which is another big benefit. Is that if you don't have to go and get a special Glock floor plate removal tool, although the Lone Wolf one is pretty fantastic. Just ask TJ here.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
But it's toolless floor plate. Yeah, so you'll be able to pull those floor plates off no problem and put on whatever aftermarket extended base plates you want. It's got a visible capacity indicator hole on the body. And I think when I looked at it, it was just a single hole to let you know that it was filled full. It wasn't like a hole every round or every 2 rounds. So it pretty much just lets you know, yes, it's got 17 rounds in it. If you've got 10 or 5, you won't be able to tell the difference, except if you're a guru and you can feel the weight in your hand and know how many rounds are in there. So yeah, that's the gist of it. I'm very excited for these, especially to come out in different colors as well. It'll be nice to be able to more affordably stock up on these. I feel bad for those of us out there who have managed to invest and buy 20, 50, dare I say it, even 100 Glock factory magazines at that factory MSRP, when now there's a cheaper option out there that's American made. You did have the cheaper option before if you bought Korean magazines, but people have always kind of complained that well, it's not made in America and I can't really trust them, and the follower anti-tilt isn't really the same. So now you've got nothing to complain about because there's a cheaper option out there that's made in the USA by one of, I would say, the greatest companies, greatest American companies that are operating right now.
Yeah, so
there you go.
one
Go
thing
on
with
over to
those Korean mags,
magpool.com. Go ahead.
one thing with those Korean mags too, I think they sell for $10 to $12 somewhere around there, and this thing's only what, $15, $16. So it's like you could almost, you just kind of look at it and you're like, you'd be kind of dumb not to buy, spend an extra $4 and buy reputable magazines versus those cheap knockoffs, I guess you could say. One thing I do just notice, it looks like it's got the ambi cuts for the Gen 4, so you don't have to worry about it not working if you switched your mag release around.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. Thanks for noticing that. I've only got a Gen 3, so I didn't even think to mention that. So thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I'm used to looking at the Gen 4 mags. So.
Yeah. Yeah, when they start making 33 rounders, that's when I'll be happy, because those suckers, I mean, they're still pricey, but a Magpul happy stick would be something that I'd very much like to see on the store shelves.
Yeah, and if it follows their
so next up, go ahead.
If it follows the pattern of their 40 round PMag, I think that one was only just a couple dollars more than their 30 round for the AR. So if they follow that same pattern, maybe we can get a $20 33 round stick. So that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. So now we're going to talk about the some man jewelry. Never again. And Father's Day is coming up, or Dad's birthday is coming up. I don't know what to get him. TJ, tell the listeners what they need to get their father.
All right, everybody needs to get their father. I'm not a father, but somebody needs to get this for me. It is a Leatherman. What do they call this thing? The tread. They they call it a tread because what it looks like almost kind of looks like a tank track, like that kind of segmented thing. But what it is a wrist I guess, bracelet. You can call it a bracelet, but it comes with a bunch of tools integrated in the into the bracelet, and it's not kind of one of those cheesy ones where you have to kind of dig it out and all that funky stuff. They're right there, accessible. All you have to do is take it off, and then I guess the way you fold it, um, you pick the tool you want, and you just kind of fold it to where that one is out, and there you have a tool right there to use. I believe I'm trying to find how many tools it is, but it's a ton of tools right there on your wrist. It's 25 tools right there on your wrist, and it kind of clasps just like most watches do, where it just kind of has that fold over clasp. And each link has 2 to 3 different tools. It's got different size flathead screwdrivers, different size Phillips, different size Allen keys, and it's even got nut drivers. I think it's got like a cord cutter, whatever they would call that. This oxygen tank wrench, I see that referenced on a ton of multi-tools, and I have no clue what that is. I guess that's for people with portable oxygen tanks, breathing machines and stuff like that. So what else does it have? Yeah, it looks like just a bunch of hex drives, flathead screwdrivers, and then some kind of cord cutter and a bottle opener. All this right on your wrist in a package that you could, they say the reason, I guess, for its birth was the designer was in Disney World, I think he said, and they saw his Leatherman tool, and they told him that he couldn't bring it into the park, and he was arguing with them, saying, it's just a multi-tool, it's not a knife or anything, and they made him go all the way back to his hotel and put it up before he could enter the park. So he said, you know what, I'm gonna design this tool that I can bring just about anywhere. So I would imagine if you're trying to get on a plane, depending on how observant the TSA agent is, you probably get it on pretty quick, because it does just look like a piece of, I guess you could say, industrial jewelry.
And then the 2 different finishes. Did you mention that?
Oh yeah. It's 17.4 stainless steel, both of them, and then one of them's just got a black finish, and it says it's adjustable to 1/4 inch to accommodate any wrist size and fully customizable with the links you need most. The Leatherman tread is as stylish as it is functional, and it does look really good. Now, what they mention about adjustability, I suppose you could take a link out just like you could take any watch link out, but then you'll have to lose a tool to do that. But there's also the price point on those is $150 for the stainless, and then $200 for the black stainless, and then there's also an option coming out to have, I guess you would probably have to replace some links, but get a watch face, and the watch itself is let me see. Trying to see where we have that linked. The watch itself is made of the same materials. The casing is made of the same materials, and it's got the sapphire coated lenses with the quartz movement, and so you'll be able to have a multifunctional watch, and that'll definitely probably be even more incognito, I guess, because it would just be a watch. But I'm really excited for this.
And I know I mentioned dads, but I can think of quite a few mothers, even grandmothers, that would love to have something like this. The only thing that me personally that would keep me from getting this is because I've got hairy arms, much like I'm sure many of my listeners also have the same conundrum. So a watch band like this, it's got lots of mechanical pivoting parts with seams. This would just catch my hair like nothing else, and every time I go to twist it or adjust it or even just shake my wrist, I'm sure it would grab hair and just kind of tug at it, and that I'd have to actually probably shave the first 2 or 3 inches of hair on my wrist just to wear this thing. So if you do see me walk around with a shaved wrist, you know that I ended up getting one of these.
I'm sure eventually after wearing it for a little while, it'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, it's a self-correcting problem. Yeah. So. Yeah, this is cool. I mean, it's definitely not gender specific at all. Lots of people would love to have this, especially like bike riders, if you've probably got some kind of toolkit on you to repair your bike, but a lot of times it's nice to have something that's a multi-tool for fixing other things, or if a fellow bike rider is on the side of the road, or even just anybody that needs help fixing, it's nice to be that guy to go, oh yeah, I've got something for that here, let me see it. Whether I'm going to be gunsmithing with this, I don't think so, but
well, you got to think too, if you're at the range and you need to make
I'm sure.
if you're at the range and you just need to make a quick sight adjustment and you happen to forget that one size Allen wrench that you always forget, and there you have it right on your wrist. You don't have to dig around your bag or realize that you left it at home.
Yep.
And that's the case with
yeah,
anything.
Exactly. There you go.
You never realize how much you would use a multi-tool until you have one right there with you all the time, and you can use it all the time. So it's pretty useful.
Or you never realize how much you need the tool until you need it and you don't have it.
Right.
So if you're interested in that, go on over to leatherman.com and then look for their tools, and you'll be able to find the tread under their products. So very interesting.
I think I mentioned
the TJ was like, go ahead.
I mentioned the watch, and I'm trying to find the price on it again, but I think it added about $300 to the MSRP. So it's got to be a fairly well-built watch face to go along with it. So just throwing that out there.
Right on. So, being that I just got back from SHOT Show, and I was literally immobile for the last 24 hours due to some kind of bug. But I didn't have a review prepared for this week, so I'm going to go ahead and let TJ take the floor and review something that he brought this week.
Yeah. All right. This week I've got the See All Open sight. I've had this thing for a while now, and I'm just finally getting around to the review. But the See All Open sight makes the claim that it's the first of its kind on the open sight market. And what it is essentially a large fiber optic with a triangular reticle etched onto it. In the rear, it has a lens that magnifies the reticle to make it easier to see. The thing that makes it an open sight over like a optic is that the image isn't magnified, just the reticle, and you don't have an optic to necessarily look through just because it's kind of a green rectangle. But what your goal is to put the intended point of impact right at the top of the triangle. The sight is mounted on a standard Picatinny rail by sliding it on and then being secured by 2 set screws that would go in between the rail, the valleys of the rail, and clamp it down onto the top of the rail, which I know Ryan would really appreciate that because he hates the big gaudy, big old thumb nuts that they put on a lot of optics. But it makes for a very sleek design and less likely to snag on equipment. The sight is very quick to acquire with the large green rectangle you're looking for. It's a whole lot easier to find than just a black iron sight front post. The fiber optic like material is very large, so it grabs a ton of ambient light, and this means that the reticle will be brightly outlined. And I say outline because the reticle is a black triangle that is on the large green background. One of the claims on their website is that if you can see your target, you can see the sight. And I actually did some low light shooting recently and found the claim to be very true. I was still shooting and able to see the sight right up until about 15 or 20 minutes before basically complete dark out. When it comes to accuracy, it seems to be very accurate, but I did not bench rest test it or anything. I imagine that it could outshoot me like most optics and most sighting systems, and it didn't seem to lose zero through firing and kind of mishandling. I think I dropped it on the ground at some point. The elevation and windage adjustments are made by turning 2 set screws, which push the base of the reticle fiber optic piece whichever way it needs to go. This part is a little odd because we're used to scopes with tactile and audible clicks at each position. 1 click equals, so many quarter inch at 100 yards. Well, this one doesn't have clicks. It just has these little hash marks around them. Well, honestly, the elevation has hash marks and the windage doesn't. You just kind of have to figure it out. I think 16th of a turn is a quarter inch at 100 yards or something like that. So you just kind of have to figure it out. Honestly, it's a little weird to sight in, just like a little to the left, little to the right, rather than having a steadfast click. But other than that, it was pretty simple to sight in. The stock sight is very low, making it too low to mount for an AR-type rifle. But See All Open Sight actually offers a riser on their website, but it's nothing special. It's just the UTG medium 3-slot riser, so you could easily find one just about anywhere. This is where I would suggest a change to the product, if for no other reason than aesthetics. The UTG rail is about ½ inch shorter than the sight, so it just looks a little funny, and I could see it snagging on webbing and slings because it forms sort of a hook. And I'm going to try to get it on camera here. If you can see this little empty space, I can imagine you could get that caught on stuff. So I would like to see them do a full-length rail that just to make it look better and make it a little less snag point. Probably wouldn't be too difficult for them to machine that. Let's see. The height was a little too high for my 1022 when I put it on there. So if you're going to put it on something like that, you'd need some kind of a cheek riser, or even just something, just a little bit, just something to give you a little more height, or just don't get as solid of a cheek weld. One added benefit of not having to use batteries, which I don't think I mentioned that, it doesn't use batteries, which is an awesome feature. One added benefit is that it would be a good sight for like a vehicle gun, that you don't have to worry about temperature changes ruining the batteries, or for people more toward the prepping spectrum, that would allow you to not have to worry about batteries running out in like a end of the world apocalypse type situation when you don't have power and batteries stop working. Run their life. So this site also provides an advantage to muzzleloader or primitive hunting. A lot of states do not allow optics. I think your state is one of those, right, Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah, some states don't allow the optics for muzzleloader or primitive season, but the See All Open Sight, the way it's classified, should be legal for any of these places. So if you wanted to put some type of red dot on your muzzleloader, you might not be able to, but you could put one of these and give you a little advantage there. Overall, I could see it being very useful sight in many situations, especially for shotguns because of the quick acquisition. I would personally prefer a red dot, but this is a relatively inexpensive option for somebody that's looking for something different. And might be other people's cup of tea. It's just not, I guess, necessarily my first pick. But it is really well made, and I can see where people would like it. So the claim to fame is that it's fast, rugged, and accurate. The target market is any firearms owners for all types of shooting, and their quote is attached to virtually anything with a rail, and that includes, you can put it on a pistol. One thing I didn't mention in the review because I didn't shoot it on a pistol, so I kind of forgot to include it, but the further away you get from the sight, that magnifier, just like when you have a regular magnifying glass, you hold it far away from you and it makes things look enormous. So the further away you are from this thing, the bigger the reticle gets, and whenever you have it on a pistol at arm's length, the reticle gets a little too large in that window, so it kind of reduces the speed a little bit because you have to hunt around for the tip of that reticle. Probably wouldn't recommend it for a pistol, or even maybe forward mounting on an AK might even be a little far, but it would probably still be doable on an AK type. But the features and benefits, it's 1.8 ounces, so it's incredibly light, adds almost nothing to the gun. It's extremely fast, battery-free operation, very durable, not affected by weather other than complete dark. It's parallax-free, and it's made in the USA. So let's see what other finishes are available. None. Right now it's only available in black, which is kind of pretty standard for most optics and sights. What others are saying, it's a unique idea and it's kind of cool, but it's more than just a novelty. So that's from Jeremy over at The Truth About Guns, and I kind of agree with him. It's cool. It's just kind of, like I said, not my cup of tea. But the MSRP is $98.95 on their website, and on their website you can also purchase it with that included UTG riser. Or you can buy it from Amazon for $94.99 through our affiliate link, and that'll help us out a little bit. And if you do buy it from Amazon, don't forget your UTG riser. So that'll, because you won't be able to use it on an AR-15 without it, just because it's too low. So my pros I have, it's very bright and easy to use, no batteries, rugged, simple, relatively inexpensive, and very well made. The cons, the awkward to adjust the reticle position. It's not the worst in the world, but it is, like I said, awkward. And then when mounting it to a pistol, people report that the reticle can get magnified a bit too much and make it difficult to use. And so I gave it an overall score of 8, which is pretty good.
My only question for you is, since you got the riser, and I'm assuming you tried this on like an AR-15 platform.
Yeah.
Were you able to? Did you have backup sights, like rear and front irons at all?
I don't have a backup rear sight. I do have like a dissipator style rifle, so I do have the front sight post, but the rear sight I just haven't gotten around to buying a rear sight. But you couldn't really use a rear sight. It's not like if you bought like a aim point or something like that, you can't see through it like you would be with the red dot. You would have to remove the see-all sight to actually get to your iron sights, just because, like I said, it's just that opaque fiber optic style thing, so you can't see through the sight itself.
Okay. Well, and being that it's not battery operated, having some, I guess you'd call it analog backups, just in case your battery operated optic went down. It's kind of moot when you have something that doesn't even take batteries. So, just a question I had, because I know some guys just leave their flip up iron sights on there no matter what, whether they'd still be able to get some practice in with their sights, with this still mounted in between them.
Yeah, it would. I would probably recommend flipping it down, because your rear sight would just block I think it would block the reticle a little bit, so it might be a little annoying there. I don't currently have a rear sight, so I need to get on that and order one. But I can see it coming in pretty good handy, if maybe for like a 3-gun, if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive, like a 45-degree mount for close-up stuff, if you have a powered scope.
Yeah, or if you had a semi-automatic shotgun, this would probably really be fast enough to where you had a consistent cheek weld, and you were just knocking down plates in a line with your shotgun. You'd probably get pretty good at dropping that every time the recoil would put the muzzle up. You'd be able to get that peak of that triangle just right back down on your steel plate or your popper or whatever you're shooting at.
Yeah, I would really like to try it on a shotgun. I haven't had that opportunity yet, but I think it would be pretty good for that application.
Right on. Very cool. So next up, the Tech Gadget app. I shot some cool things, and I got to kind of play around with some cool things at SHOT Show. I did get to shoot a tracking point, which I'll probably tell everybody about later on. But one of the more accessible high-tech things that you could actually afford and use yourself, not have to drop $20K on a rifle and some military-grade smart optics. This is Seek Thermal, their camera for the iOS or Android. So I was walking through Media Day at the range. I saw a booth that was kind of turned its back toward like the main walking path. And I thought it was actually FLIR, based on I can see some thermal packaging, kind of with some graphics from the rear. So I walked around the booth, and it turned out to be Seek Thermal. So what Seek Thermal offers is a technology that's less of the cost of getting that FLIR 1 case for your phone, and higher quality imagery as far as the resolution goes. So kind of an interesting history between Seek Thermal and FLIR. They were once affiliated as one company, and they've kind of split. Kind of came out ahead as far as that split goes. So I'm not going to get too into the company politics on that. But what the Seek is offering is very interesting. So it's a small little device that plugs right into your iPhone 5 or your Android charging port. And it's got its own little camera, and then that just feeds it right into the app that you would download. So the images were actually quite stunning. We were looking at we were right across from the Glock booth, and so he was actually showing me. I could see the heat signatures from people inside the Glock booth, and it was, a good 40 yards away, as well as
Wow.
the individuals that were walking in between us. I mean, it wasn't too hot of a day, but it was definitely sunny, and I would expect the people walking between us wearing their FTE tactical vests and nylon to be glowing hot red. It actually showed quite a lot of definition between the lighter and cooler colors, and it still has the thermometer on there to kind of check how hot something is. So you've got the application of you're testing the temperature of something in your house to make sure it's not passing a maximum point of temperature, or you're checking the seals in your windows for losing heat, and all the benefits that we've talked about previously on the FLIR 1 iPhone case. You have all that and more in this less expensive camera that you are not forced to be married to an iPhone case. This actually goes right into your phone. So this true thermal imaging camera detects infrared light and uses the data from over 32,000 thermal pixels to create a visible image on your iOS device or Android. In the broad daylight or complete darkness, you can now be aware of your surroundings. So the MSRP is only $249. I don't remember the FLIR one off the top of my head, but I know it was quite a bit more than $249.
I think it was
Do you remember that?
I think it was actually $299, or maybe it was $399. I think at some point they had a $100 off sale, so I'm getting it confused. But I think the original price is $399 for the case.
Okay. So it works on all devices running iOS 7, and then I'm not going to read the equivalent for the Android users because I have an iPhone, so I don't care about you guys. I'm just kidding. I do. So it's got a true thermal sensor, 206 by 156 array. Like I said, the thermal pixels is over 32,000. Wow, there's some very large scientific words in here. Vanadium oxide microbolometer, and then a chalcogenic lens. Anyway, 36-degree field of view. It's got a magnesium housing, long-wave infrared 7.2-13 microns. It can detect as low as 40 degrees minus Kelvin to 330 degrees. Oh, I'm sorry, not Kelvin. Wow, Celsius. You can tell I'm from America. I don't know those increments. So negative 40 Celsius to 330 Celsius.
Just for quick reference, 0 degrees Kelvin is absolute zero, and everything would be frozen solid. So I think negative 40, would be a pretty bad situation.
I'm going to edit that out. You can guarantee it. It does include a protective carrying case. And so it looks like they've got two different versions. They've got the Seek Thermal XR, which is actually $50 more, so that's $299. And then they have the regular Seek Thermal, which is $249.
Do you see any immediate differences between the XR? I was trying to look to see the differences. Oh, here we go. Extended range of the XR. So I guess that's what the XR stands for. It says sees objects twice as far away with original Seek camera and can focus on object as near as 8 inches for precise close-up macro imaging. That's really awesome. The Seek XR allows you to literally see heat, making it possible. Okay, I think this is just the regular information. So yeah, it looks like the XR, it just has twice the range. Maybe that's what you guys were looking at, being able to see things so far away.
Yep, I imagine. So if you're thinking about using this for hunting, scouting terrain, tracking game, following blood trails, you'd want the XR for sure. Boating, you can detect and locate harmful objects on the water at night or in the fog. Safety and security, scan of a dark parking lot or around your home for danger. Um, and then, obviously, if you're a contractor and you're using this for home inspection, you get a little bit better range and detail out of it. So I would ante up the extra $50, get the $300 one, the XR, just because you're gonna want to play with it more than just the technical application that you got it for. So it's nice to be able to use it. If I'm hunting and I've got a downed animal and it's blizzard, or it's at night and I'm having trouble picking up the blood trail, just pop this bad boy in my iPhone 5 or 6, or even my iPad if I had one, and then I'd be able to probably very well see the blood trail, because obviously the blood would be much warmer out of the animal than the ambient ground around it for quite a while, and then also be able to see the animal in the brush. I would buy it almost immediately just for that purpose. Some guys might think that's cheating to just tracking skills, but that is pretty awesome. If you're missing your dog too, help you find your dog in the dark. I mean, there's the ability to see at night, and be able to integrate it to technology that you probably already have if you've got a device that can handle this. It's very cool.
Yeah, one thing.
Would you say so?
Yeah, this thing is awesome. I like the idea that this technology is getting small enough that they're able to put it into. Honestly, this thing might be. I'm sure everybody's here is familiar with like a CR123 battery. It looks like it's pretty close to that size, maybe a little bit larger, but I just think it's awesome that that technology is able to be in that small of a package. So I think coming soon and at a good price. I mean, it's not multiple thousands of dollars for it. It's just $300. So I think coming pretty soon we might start seeing this type of technology integrated into scopes and optics. So that'll be pretty neat to see. I imagine that's pretty close on the horizon. One thing, I guess, kind of a downside over the FLIR that we mentioned. I don't believe this thing has the built-in battery like the FLIR case did. So it's going to drain off of your cell phone's battery, which some phones already have terrible battery life enough, and then you go and drain it with a thermal imager that I don't believe you can charge at the same time either. So that'll be interesting to see. So if you are using it with your hunting applications, maybe just kind of keep in mind, carry a extra.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of have to carry a battery bank anyway, or a power bank, just because the batteries are kind of short as they are. As much time as I check my email, check my Facebook, use my apps, in every day, especially the GPS, it's going to wear down within 24 hours usually anyway if I'm using it heavily. So yeah, you do have to take that into account. Make sure you have a power bank, especially if you're out there away from outlets, hunting or scouting or boating. It's probably a good idea to have an extra battery pack, so you'll be able to charge up if you end up using this and depleting your battery too far. I do like the fact that you're not married to that case, though, and you can take this off, put it in its protective case, and then use whatever case that you have on your phone. Um, so you're less likely to maybe damage it, or it's you can fit it in your pocket if you're like to use accessories, belt clips or dashboard clips, or if you've got like the armband so you can listen to the music while you're running. The extended size of that FLIR 1 case kind of interferes with all that stuff. Whereas this, you can just pop it off and then use your existing case and phone dimensions for all your usual everyday purposes. So I do like the fact that it doesn't kind of interfere with the size of it like that FLIR case does. So I don't mean to draw so many comparisons, but you kind of have to when you're talking about a product that does something that's brand new. So these are direct competitor. So if you're interested in that, go on to thermal.com. Yes, they do own the domain thermal.com.
Yeah,
Good
I
for
thought that was
them.
pretty cool. They probably paid somebody for that. I'm sure they didn't originally have it.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly. Um, so that's that. We don't have any new feedback for the reviews. I think I'll be doing another iTunes review giveaway. Probably start that up probably the 1st of next month, so February. We'll announce that and kind of offset these two giveaways a little bit. I anticipate that it taking a little bit of time to build up to 500 likes on our Facebook page, so kind of run this at the same time as the other one. So if someone's already liked our Facebook page from day one, I love you, and two, I want to give you a chance to maybe, if you haven't already added a review to iTunes for this podcast, you'll be able to do that and then win some more swag that I got from SHOT Show. So I've got some very cool things for you guys that I managed to pick up, so stay tuned for that.
Hey, Ryan.
So make sure go ahead.
Just a quick question on that Facebook giveaway. Now, you've got people who are ineligible, like you, myself, Chad, and all the other longtime reviewers. Are we gonna push that to 503, 504, or are we just gonna give them just a slight better advantage, being that we're excluded?
I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and that means that their odds are better because there's 4 or 5 or half a dozen less people that are not eligible to win. So that just increases the average listener's odds as well.
There you go. You guys' odds just went way up.
Yep. So anyway, make sure you listen to all the other podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network, including This Week in Guns. So This Week in Guns is a great podcast for if you're busy on the go, you're not on the internet checking the latest industry and more political news that revolve around guns, high-profile self-defense cases, or kind of the ongoing struggle between certain anti-gun groups and pro-gun control groups versus pro-gun groups, Second Amendment groups, things like that. This is the podcast where you sit down for a couple hours and really catch up on what's happened that week in guns. So you also get a little bit of personal product in there, as well as the political and then some industry news too. So if Glock does something absolutely that sweeps everybody off their feet, catches everyone off guard, you're going to hear it on this podcast. That's going to make it across their radar, so you don't have to really have your radar up during the week if you're busy with your job or whatever. So if you go to www.thisweekinguns.com, you can listen to podcasts that way, or if you just look for This Week in Guns on your mobile device, you can browse for that podcast and subscribe to it and get your weekly feed in. So make sure you do that. Listen to all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review for this podcast, the Gun Gear Review Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you send them to podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or cross@firearmsradio.tv. And make sure you visit the Firearms Insider website for future reviews and industry coverage. Make sure you go on over to our YouTube page and check out some footage that we've shot at SHOT Show this year. And then also make sure you go on over to that Facebook page, look up Firearms Insider, and give us a like to follow all the latest reviews and be eligible to win some sweet SHOT Show goodies. So, yeah, thanks again, TJ, for joining me. Always great to have you on. I haven't seen you in a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. I had a good time talking about some of these cool new products.
Yeah, next year we gotta get you to go to SHOT Show, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Too bad I couldn't see him in person.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the trip. It's a pretty sweet deal. You bring 2 or 3 pairs of good shoes because you'll want to swap them out, and you definitely need comfortable shoes. You will purposely walk across through the tourist booth just because of the comfy carpet versus the cement.
Was that
so I just want to give one more shout out to. Yeah, no, that wasn't their selling point. Yeah, walk through and give your feet a rest. Oh, and also check out the curve. while you're there. But I also want to give a quick shout out to listener Arturo. He met us down there at SHOT Show and gave us a ride and hung out with us at some parties. So that was pretty cool of him to do that. So I want to give him a thumbs up and appreciate him for stopping by. And anyway, everyone have a good week. Shoot safe, stay warm, and catch you in the next episode.
All right, talk to you later, Ryan.